I think just like the cool part about the program also is all the faculty involved have now become advocates of collegiate athletes, which is really cool.
Hello and welcome back to the Widener World of Sports podcast for our third episode of Season 2. I'm your host, Greg Spica, the Director of Athletic Communications here at Widener. On this episode, we're joined by
Coach Donovan, Anglin, men's and women's volleyball.
Dr. Mike Corcoran, Assistant Professor of Psychology.
I'm Abi Herrin. I'm a junior on the women's volleyball team.
I'm Michael Martino. I'm also a junior on the men's volleyball team.
Tonight we return for another part of the episode that we recorded last year where we talked with a faculty athletic representative, and we're continuing that conversation tonight. Dr. Corcoran, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Donovan, I'm going to jump right to you just to talk about some of the things that you've done with Dr. Corcoran and the work with the men's and women's volleyball teams.
Well, I think one of the most important part of the relationship between Dr. Corcoran and us is just having that representative in the faculty department that students could go to if they need help, like scheduling and things like that. But also, he's been to volleyball games, senior night last year for the women's team, and he's quite the baker as well too.
So I've thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. Like, it's been really cool, like Donovan said, being another point of support for students. Also going to the games. Full disclosure, I had no idea really anything about volleyball before becoming the representative, and now I've grown an interest in it. And it's been really cool, like going to the games, seeing the students really engaged, and seeing them in a different way, right? Like, I only see the students really in a few ways, in the classroom, in advising, in office hours if they ever show up. But the athletics games give me another way to see students and see them outside the classroom, and it's been really incredible. And in addition to that, too, just seeing the support from other people they get on campus, for example, the coach, and also seeing the families engaged, too. So I was actually really surprised going to the games, seeing how many families were at the games there supporting their children, and that was really cool to see.
Mike, what do you think having somebody like Dr. Corcoran in the faculty department to just to go to if you need help? What do you think something like that is worth?
Well, so I mean, from someone that isn't in that field of study, it's kind of like different for me. But someone that would be studying, what do you teach?
Psychology.
So someone that studies psychology, I could like really see them going to you if they're struggling with getting our classes scheduled, figuring out the right schedule for our classes when we have games, practices, everything during our season, and stuff like that. So,
have you any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's been really nice having Dr. Corcoran here for us because it's nice to have someone on the education side of things because your coach is always there for you, but they're more there for you in athletic ways. So having someone there for you in the education aspect is also really important.
Yeah, for me, just having a person that I could call if a student athlete comes to me and saying, Coach, I'm struggling with this class, or I'm struggling to get into, certain class, a class that they might need in order to move on. Somebody that, a liaison that I could call and say, Janie's, just not getting the information or the response she needs for this class, can you help? So that's, it's a big plus for having somebody that just basically represent us on the faculty end.
And I think it's cool, too, like, to Mike's point, in some sense also, like, it's nice, I think, sometimes to also have somebody outside of your field, right, who can answer questions, or maybe, like, you don't want to talk to a professor in your department or your field of study about a particular issue that you might have. So it might be nice to have a person outside also that you can go to and talk to about those things. And I've had some students reach out to me about issues with getting into courses, things like that. And just sometimes just to talk, honestly. Like, sometimes students just need somebody to talk to on the academic side. And I've had that also. And I hope that I've been of help in that sense, too.
Actually, our dinner at the president's house is coming up. So that's on April 23rd. So Dr. Corcoran was invited to that if he's, if his schedule allows, because I know he's quite busy, had to work in spring break, so I'm not sure how rested he is right now. So, but that's coming up in a few weeks, and we'll be there with men's and women's basketball. So that should be quite.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah. I know with the Mike's been like I said, been quite busy this semester, so we haven't had a chance to do a lot with the men's team just because we haven't had as many games as we did in the past. So that works with his schedule. So in the future, as the women's season rolls around, I think we're going to be planning to do a little bit more, whether it's senior night or just a practice or just a just a get together just to kind of talk about the upcoming semester, expectations, things like that. So.
Yeah. I think for me, kind of the biggest thing so far is really just being at the games, just enjoying the games, seeing the students in that way. And I think just being that visual presence also, right? And being there and showing the support in that way too has been important to students. And yeah, the spring semester though has been really loaded for me. In the fall I had much more time, and I think that just it shows also how this partnership kind of is an ebb and flow at times where we have to kind of be flexible and work around people's schedules and kind of how we can fit things in, how we can. And it becomes even more difficult because everyone in this room is extremely busy at all times, right? So to try and find times that we fit together takes a lot of intentional effort in addition to the games.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess especially from the men's side, most of the players on our team probably don't even know who you are. I mean, they look at their emails, they see some name, they probably haven't even read it. I know you email us once a semester, maybe twice a semester, and I can guarantee the freshmen don't even know who you are. And I mean, that's not on you because you're very busy, just like all of us are. But I definitely wish that we would find a better schedule for all of us, whether it's our game schedule, make sure that you have games that we know you're going to, you know what I mean, so that the players can get to meet you, get to know who you are, get to talk to you about their schedules if they have any problems with anything really. And I know that that'd be beneficial for all of us.
Yeah. And I think one of the cool things that I've said too, going to the games, what is most interesting is even being at the games, right? It's student athletes are so locked in too that I almost I am there and I'll engage as I can with them, but I almost don't want to because they seem like they're in such a flow that I'm I kind of want to be hands off and just there cheering you guys on, right? I wish I could get that engagement in the classroom sometimes, but seriously, you guys are so locked in, and it's really incredible to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had other professors, I have an accounting professor, Dr. Hargadon, who comes to our games. He tries to go to 1 or 2 games a year, and he always says to me in class, it's so crazy how different you are on the court than in the classroom. He's like, you don't say a word in class, you answer maybe one question, and on the court all you do is talk and yell the entire time. And it's so different to see. And I mean, I can completely understand his perspective, seeing his students playing in a completely different mode than how they are in the classroom.
Yeah, I think that it's really cool too, seeing it in the games, seeing the peer relationships that sometimes we don't see in the classroom as much, right? And seeing the people who might not speak in class or might not speak that much, but are really vocal leaders on the court or on the field, and that to me is really cool to watch and see.
Abigail, you've been a little quiet over there.
I don't know if you remember, but you also joined us at a football tailgate in the fall. Mm-hmm. So it was really nice getting to know you as not only a professor or a faculty advisor, but also just as a person, getting to know you. So that was fun. If we can find more activities to do like that.
Yeah, I remember that. That's something that Larissa had coordinated, mm-hmm. and actually you were one of few that could make it, and it was mm-hmm. and it was great because our a few of the guys from the men's team were there, and quite a few of the women's players were there. So it was actually it was fun just kind of hanging out outside of the gym, outside of the classroom, and just kind of just be free to hang out and talk. So that was a good time.
Yeah. And I think those activities are really good too, because like I try to bring my most authentic self when I'm teaching. Abby might be able to speak to that a little bit, but I obviously have limits and constraints on that even. So when I can get outside the classroom and be with students, be with Donovan, I can be a bit more of myself, and they can see that side of me too. And I think that it helps even to humanize me even more to students, and build those connections and rapport even more.
I think that this initiative, I think that's one of the big things that this brings to the table for our student athletes, whether, you get to meet with working once a semester or, it's at the game, but it just brings that, that human side. Okay, you're in the classroom, you have to be a certain way, but then when you're out at the game or, just out, at the fields or whatever, it just kind of shows you like, okay, no, that professor's approachable. I could go out and talk to him. If something comes up, I know I could go talk to him and get help. And I think that side of it is, I think, one of the biggest takeaway from this initiative, just having somebody that, could really just go talk to whenever you need to.
Yeah, I mean, I was a first-generation college student, and I remember being an undergraduate. I wasn't a student athlete, but being an undergraduate, I remember thinking, like, my professors don't have any life out of this, right? Like, they don't do anything with their free time. And it took a while for me to realize that, no, I just didn't know them in that way. So being able to provide that to students has been really important. And I think in a lot of ways, too, like, me seeing the athletics side of things has also made me a better professor. Because I'm able to consider things that maybe I haven't considered before. And we have an enormous student athlete population here at Widener, too, that we have to consider.
And and for me, I mean, these guys do an amazing job off the court and in the classroom, but there's times when some other professors might not understand the amount of time that they put in outside of the classroom, to, dedicated to their sport, whether it's practice or traveling or games. And when they need that little bit of flexibility, some professors aren't willing to, for lack of a better word, bend a little bit. So having somebody that could advocate for them, like, listen, these students are really, really working hard inside the classroom and outside. And you could, look at statistics, you look at the, grades, GPAs, and all that. You can see that, the performance of our student athletes are tremendous. So when you need that little bit of flexibility, it's always great to have somebody that could advocate for you. Say, listen, cut Mike some slack.
He's not really just blowing off your course,
Yeah.
I think that knowing your faculty is really important, especially for when you're out in the real world looking for a job. Having someone that I can know would write me a recommendation or have my back, and just having someone to talk to. And also, say a family member wanted to come here, they would have a connection with someone that I know, so that's nice. Also with Donovan too, I think I'll always stay in touch with Donovan after I leave, and because I know he's gonna miss me.
No, but I can agree. Once we're out of school, once we graduate, it's nice to have someone that was there for us while we're in school, and while we're dealing with the schedule changes and just everything we go through with practice, games, and classes, to talk about afterwards, even if we're stressful with work, and just have someone ask, how did you deal with that? How did you deal with working and dealing with everyday challenges, so.
Yeah. Very well thought out, Mike. Good job.
2 seconds of thinking. Wasn't a full thought.
But I think that's a good point also, right? Because being student athletes, sometimes it can be even hard to try and build that relationship with your professors. So this provides maybe another way to do so. So things like recommendation letters, for example, and things like that that you need in the future might be another avenue to be able to get them, you know. And yeah, I mean, I say my door is always open, my email is always open, and I truly believe that. And we know they're going to come back also, because proof here that you always come back to Widener. I was going to make a joke, but yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. No, I've loved it so far. Donovan's great. The teams are great. I do feel, like very tied to the teams now. We had the discussion, in our last meeting, do people want to switch teams? And I was like, no, thank you. I'm happy with my teams right now. And particularly now it's even harder because, like, I've gotten to know some of the first-year students. So it's like, how do I meet them in their first year and then be like, bye? I can't really do that, right? So, so Kristen is a third year at this point? Yeah.
The transfer.
Yeah. So we even just had there was a transfer in to the women's volleyball team. And I met her and her family during the recruitment process and things like that. And now she's here and she's in one of my classes. And even we're working together with summer research. And I'm like, how now can I abandon these people, right? Like I want to stick with them and I want to see it through. Because it is one of the coolest parts about my job. And I think it's parallels some of the things that Donovan gets to see in his job is you get to see someone come in 18 years old typically and see their development over the course of 4, sometimes 5 years, sometimes more. But you get to see their development over time and to see how someone has changed and matured over time. And just I was talking to some students recently, one of my favorite experiences is commencement because I get to see that realization of one of their dreams on stage finally take place. And to me, that's such a cool experience. To be able to see that is really cool.
Well, I mean, knowing what Kristen, what her major was, what she was coming in as. So that was, for me, just, great connection to have because right off the bat, knowing that, she would have an advocate and somebody that is literally part of her, athletic program. It was great. And, getting a chance when she came on campus for her visit, the chance to meet with Dr. Corcoran and just kind of went over things. It was great. I mean, just having that connection for her to sit and talk to and being able, and I think that was, part of, with everything else that she saw when she was here. Well, I think that connection, that first time knowing that, man, I just got here for a visit and already, got a chance to meet with a professor and have a conversation and ask questions. I think that kind of gave her that little bit of comfort that she needed to make her decisions. So that was great.
Well, so I guess my college experience, my college experience is kind of unique going into Widener. I didn't decide to come here until a week before the fall semester started. And
a little last minute.
Yeah, my choice was pretty much solely because of volleyball, and Donovan. So Donovan kind of pulled me in when I met him here, and that was pretty much it. I didn't have any knowledge of any professors. Knew some of the players on the team, but I mean, now that I'm here, I love all my professors. All my teachers here are pretty good. They're very understanding with our schedules. Most of my professors know that I am a volleyball player. I have a busy spring semester. And even in the fall, sometimes we have practice. They know what I'm going through. And the same goes for other sports. They know, when the basketball team was going through their tournament, they knew they were away. They helped them out. They gave them their work online so they can get it done still. And I thought that was really good.
Can I just jump in real quick? Real quick, because I just want to talk to your first point where you said that volleyball is what brought you here. And I think that that's really cool. Because before I started this program, I saw the importance of sports in higher education, right? But that importance to me has grown since being in this program. And I love that you brought that up because we see that sometimes, and it's really cool to see that this dedication to sports is also helping students go on to build better lives after. And like, I think that's just incredible, and keeping that routine and kind of keeping you here. And I'm sure like your goals now that you have for yourself in your life are different than that week before before the semester when you decided to commit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I came in business undecided and then figured it out from there. But that opportunity to even come here to just be in college and learn, I decided what I wanted to do through all of that. And I mean, volleyball was a really good stepping stone to be here and like just help me work in. I already had a family coming in my team, and it helped me like get better and adapt better.
It's awesome.
My recruitment process was also pretty interesting. I was also kind of last minute, not as last minute as Mike, but I committed in March, I would say. And I also was pretty much here for volleyball. I came in undecided, and the main thing that got me here was Donovan stayed in touch with me pretty much daily, which showed that he cared about me as more than just a player. He cared about me as a person. And also one of my old teammates who graduated, and she's now a nurse, Emily, she told me when I came to watch a practice that the faculty here is really understanding and will always help you. And she said that Donovan's understanding too. If you need to study, you can always miss practice. And so that kind of influenced my decision.
I think that's another thing, especially playing D3 sports. It's always school first and academics first. So I know we have kids that have lab during our practice time sometimes, and they're allowed to miss, and it's okay because at the end of the day, we're here playing a sport, and it's not like guaranteed that we're playing. Like not every student or not every player or person gets to play college sports at a higher level other than high school. So like getting the opportunity to even play at all helps out a lot, and like it's a good adaptation to being a student as well as an athlete. Yeah, I think it's really huge to tell prospective student athletes that our faculty is understanding and helps out. Like Abby was saying, like we're allowed to miss class for studying, or miss not class. I knew it was going to happen eventually.
Miss practice for study.
Yeah, let him miss practice. Let him miss practice to study, and even for class or exams. And it's really good to tell them that, because most players aren't even looking to play at a higher level. And if you can tell them they can come learn and get 4 years out and get a degree and also play the sport they love, it's a big, big advantage.
I think just like the cool part about the program also is all the faculty involved have now become advocates of collegiate athletes, which is really cool. So like every faculty that is part of a team has been showing support for the other teams in some ways, which has been really cool to see. So Donovan mentioned like the tailgate we went to for the football game, for example. And it's actually been great too, because I've started I wear my volleyball gear as I'm teaching, and I start making the other student athletes jealous because they're like, why aren't you wearing this gear? So now I haven't told you guys this, but now I've been actually collecting shirts from other sports teams as they give them to me. So my plan is to have like a whole week, right, where I'm just wearing a different athletic shirt every day. And we have 2 so far, so I may have overstated how well I'm doing at this goal.
Dr. Corcoran, Coach Anglin, Mike, and Abby, thanks for joining us on episode 3 of the Widener World of Sports. You can always check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. To those of you who celebrate, happy Easter this coming Sunday. Go Pride, and we'll see you next time.